So my subreddit might not be very it might not be very enticing. It's just, hey guys, here I am. I'm making streams. Check it out. And here's a link. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but excuse me. But it's still kind of all right. How much of a delay do you think there is for you right now?
We can test it. If you do something in game, I can tell you when I see it.
One thing I forget to do is start up Restream. Okay. Got one viewer. I assume that's you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but this thing always starts bouncing around at the beginning. Just
Um,
phase out of the ground or something.
yeah, it's the the new see, because that's like right there, that's snapped to the ground,
Right.
and um, it's I have to pull it up a little bit, but the new physics model is supposed to help and make, all the physics for the wheels and everything like that nice and pretty, and it kind of does, but it's not consistent from plane to plane. So um, it's a bit tricky. So getting it to work.
Plus, that's a very small aircraft.
Yeah,
I feel like Arma's flight model probably doesn't want to handle small aircraft very well,
I'm pretty sure.
especially at high air speeds.
Yeah, the flight model is different. It is kind of tricky, but it seems actually like a more achievable goal as I tweak the flight characteristics of this jet. It seems a little bit easier, but the just the suspension is the tricky part. So, all right, we might get into that later, but right now I want to go ahead and start up. All right, so as you see, um, the armadillo has it's blue because it has one of my op4 guys in it. So I put that guy in there.
It's got a driver as a driver.
Yeah, so he won't be seen. Um, as I said in the Discord channel, the downside is that, well, I'll just show you. The downside is that when I get out, he wants to.
He'll keep following.
Yeah, he might follow me or just wander off. So,
I don't know if there's much you can do about that because, and then the AI's got that auto combat feature built into their code. If they get shot at, they get scared and want to run away.
mm-hmm. And I've got him on. Excuse me. I had a Dr. Pepper with my lunch, so I might be a little bit burpy. Um, I've got him on uh, indestructible mode through the editor. Okay, so see, that's going to be a problem. All right, so this is me moving the turret. The monitor down below should be what we're looking at. Oh, let me put my track IR on. Hold on.
Sure.
This will be a lot easier to control it this way. Steady. All right, so here's the the monitor right in the middle that's turning. It shouldn't be turning. My head should be still with the body, but it's turning as the turret turns. And I do want to be able to look, but as I turn the turret, I don't want to have to look back. I want the default
Right.
position of my head to be straight at the turret. So, um, and it is turning a little bit too much. Those head pads shouldn't be like in my head. Uh, but, you know, kind of gives an idea of, you know?
It's interesting. It's for sure. You'll have to check the. I know the tanks DLC probably has some helpful code in it for tank interiors. It's got view panels that stay straight ahead as the turret rotates, and
Yeah. But they have, we were talking about PBOs and
right.
EBOs. They're still in EBO mode. So after a while, BIS. That's another thing. I keep saying BIS, but I don't know if people say BIS or BIS or BI
I've always said
Studios.
BIS or BI.
Because usually with acronyms, sorry, with acronyms, I usually say, spell it out or phonetically say it. Um, oh, I meant to check the viewports earlier because they're at different.
Seems like they're set at proper angles.
They're supposed to be at different field divisions, and what I've done is I've got them set back. You see that seam right there, where you can
Hmm.
see both of them. You can see the. All right, so looking at the right viewport in the left corner, left side of it, you can see the center viewport. I did that trying to emulate that feeling you get when you're moving around so it doesn't look like it's just a um, what do you call it? So it doesn't look like it's just a screen.
Right. So it can get jostled around and it still moves around in the viewport and looks
Yeah.
more
So when I move,
realistic. Yeah.
yeah, as I move my head, it shifts a little bit. But then if I go too far and turn it, then I start to see the next viewport. So, and another reason why I did that instead of just leaving it a hole is because there's about a 5-inch difference from view where the driver sees it and where the actual windows are, where the periscope windows are on top. So there's a 5-inch height difference. That means that when the gun moves around or something like that, it would be in the wrong position and possibly um, blocking it if those were just left blank. So you can see through the gaps as well. You can see where it's left blank. So I guess another option might be to connect them with a black wall or something so that, yeah, I don't know.
Just
Maybe.
something to mess around with.
Hmm. But I mean, overall, here we go. We got a working one man, well, supposed to be a working one man micro tank. The turret does turn too far. It goes to there, but it should only go about there because that's where the front starts to clip into the body.
Gotcha.
Here, it'll be easier if I do it like this. Oh, where's my controller? Let's see. Maybe I can still. Yeah. So right about there's where we're starting to see some clipping of that under that triangle.
Yeah, it is slight, but it's there.
Yeah. So I actually measured it out in 3D Studio Max. It was like a 72.5 degree angle. Maybe it's 517, but who cares?
It's close enough.
Yeah. Um, but I just left it at. I wanted it to be at 72 because 70 would be like, why can't it turn more? And it'd be a little frustrating. Um, but so now I've got. I'm using my controller to steer. I'm using my head to turn. And it's so weird because in order to I'm using track IR. So, all right, wait. Let me back up what I said. I said I'm using my head to turn. I'm using my head tracker to turn my head that I want to turn. Oh, it's so crazy. So I want it.
There's
I'm
so many controls.
I'm turning it left just to look straight. So if I wanted to look left at the back, and that's another thing. I wanted to have like maybe some gear there, some just
Something to look at.
eye candy. Yeah, um, just in that back compartment. And nobody wants to turn their head 90 degrees to the left and away from their screen just to get their guy to look at that and then have to cut their eyes back. Um, so yeah, it'd be much more effective if and much easier to drive too if I could. Okay, what's going on? Why is it going? Oh, I didn't realize which way I was going.
Not sure how you're gonna fully implement a one-man tank without it being too janky, but I guess permanently affixing a AI in the driver's seat is a good way to do it.
It's a good start.
Yeah, I just wonder if people were to like build a scenario with it and they would place it down as an empty vehicle without knowing that they need to not do that, and then also attach the vehicle to their group.
Yeah,
I don't know,
we'll have to put in um, a set of instructions.
do
Like,
like a training scenario or something.
well, just put a README about how to set up for one-man vehicles with turrets. Um, I was really hoping that they would have fixed that. I think I think maybe it can be done with scripting, some simple um, SQL scripting,
Right.
but I don't know how to do that. And I say simple. I don't know how simple it would be. But
I know that there is a modding tool, I guess. It's like a mission generator, and
mhm.
it has a mechanic for one-man tanks. I don't know how well it works or anything, but I know it exists.
This is the turned out view. See right there, you can see the difference between the height of the
Oh yeah, it is a
periscopes,
bit lower.
and the guns are right in front of that. But when you, ah, aimed the gun up and I lost. As I'm aiming the cannons upwards, it's also tilting the view, even though I'm in. Oh, it's not. It's not tilting the cannons. It's just tilting my view. I must have my view set to move like that. Hold on. Maybe that's not a. See, there he goes. He's gonna wander off. Maybe that's not a. So going back to the turret, my head moving with that. Maybe that's not a side effect of the turret. Maybe that's just how I have it in my control configurations. Let me view. Hmm.
Just checking the BI forms for anything on this. It seems like some people have it done. Have done it, I should say. One man tank script.
Yeah, I've looked through those. It's a little. Um, it's a little
Uh,
exhausting.
it's a bit outdated, I believe, because the new with the tanks DLC they made it a little bit easier to do it. I think. At least I know they made AI commanding in your tank a lot easier.
Yeah. When they take the when they take the tank's content out of secret mode or whatever it is, when they change them over from EBOs to PBOs, then I'll be able to get inside some of that script and see what's going on. All right, so I'm going to exit and then I'm going to show you what happens in the Puma.
There's about, I think, a 10-second or so delay. I'll let you know when you hop in the Puma on my screen.
Okay.
Just got in it.
All right.
It's not
So
too big of a delay.
I'm moving around, and as you can see, the environment around me, it's looking at the monitor. There isn't any. There's a little bit of sway, and that might be just from me moving my head. So when I move my head this way, I can still see what's going on around me, but then I can go back to the monitor and aim with that. And if I right click, I can get a just full monitor view on my gun.
It looks good too.
Thanks. Yeah, I think this is working the best out of all of the
Uh,
weaponry.
It's it's neat. You can see in the monitor, and then if you turn like the gun so far to one direction, you can see it in the rear view mirror moving
Yep.
around as well. Looks
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, um, a a gunner doesn't really well. A gunner, I guess he can make use of that since the driver cannot because the monitor is blocking the view of the rear view
Right.
mirror.
I guess so.
Ugh. And even if it wasn't, I guess the post is kind of in the wrong spot. Maybe I could move those back a little. But eventually I'm going to have a version of the Vamp with doors. And it's probably the mirror is going to be attached to the. It's going to have to be attached with the doors. So yeah, the one there was a Vamp Mark II and it had a missile launcher in the back. Um, what I'll probably do is um, I'll probably turn that into an up armored Vamp with a missile launcher, just to
Okay.
kind of
It's kind
Ex
of like a light anti-tank scout vehicle or something.
yeah, uh, yeah. What the missiles would be purposed for, I haven't decided yet, but they're most likely going to be Hellfire missiles, like um, here. So anyway, back to the
Anyways,
vamp. So this is a Hellfire missile. It's common on, I think Apaches have them,
I believe so, yeah.
and very common on a lot of gunships, Apaches, and Cobra slash Vipers, whatever they are now, which is very confusing when you're talking about GI Joe stuff versus real Army
Real.
and yeah,
There's a real Cobra and a real Viper.
yeah. And they're like, "Hey, we want to use this Cobra." Wait a minute. Oh, we're gonna have to rename it Dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
So I'm probably gonna name mine something like Dragonfire. I don't know. That's probably a little too close to the edge there. Uh, what would be a good name for a? I haven't even started, but that's very much one of the most iconic um, team vehicles is the
Right.
AH-1. So it definitely needs something there. And out, that's the right one. That is not the right designation. There it is. So just to distinguish it, and because I've never seen this in any other mod, probably going to use the AH-1F.
Foxtrot.
Yeah,
Cool.
because I like that canopy. It seems a little more. It seems like a tougher vehicle. I don't know what the I don't know what the significance of it being like that was, though.
I don't know enough about helicopters.
Yeah,
No idea. Tan.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Short fuse. Yeah, I think this might have been the last version that the Army used as well.
Yeah. Looking at pictures of the Dragonfly, and it does have the rounded canopy on it.
Yeah, but
The square one.
it's also a highly modified Cobra. You know, it doesn't have a tail rotor.
Somehow.
It has well, that exists. No tar, maybe.
I know the Russians have KA-50 that doesn't have a tail rotor, but it's got
Twin
twin
main.
rotors.
Yeah. So here's it's no tar. Um, I tried no
I've
tar.
seen this.
Where did it go? See, it's got a vent system.
Oh, okay, and that's what keeps it stable.
Mm-hmm. It also looks like it has. Maybe it's just the angle. Yeah, that's just the angle. I was gonna say that the tail fin looks like it um, turns, but I think that's the angle. You ever notice how the tail fin on helicopters is inverted? It's upside down.
Yes. Is, is there a reason behind that?
I think it keeps the.
Something
I
torque related or airspeed, I'm sure.
Yeah, as you move forward and tilt. So you have to tilt to move forward. It keeps you from tilting too far, and as you go along your flight path, so it brings the tail back down. That's the only thing. I haven't actually read that, but just from the little bit of knowledge that I have about the shape of wings, that that's what would happen. I assume. So, and helicopters are finicky.
Yes, I do know a little bit about helicopters, but not like I know enough that if my tail rotor gets blown up in game, I can save myself. That's about it. I know enough about helicopter flight for Arma, and that's it.
You can auto rotate to safety. See, this one
Yes,
has rudders, twin rudders. Those are definitely articulated, so I guess as it's moving, it'll help with the only way that would work is while it's moving forward. You know, it's not going to do anything if it's hovering.
right.
Hmm. It's a little bit beefier, but then it kind of tapers off and has this weird
Thing
star.
on the end of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which to me doesn't give me any confidence that. And then it has an extra stabilizer fin.
which looks cool.
Yeah,
Whether or not aerodynamically it does anything for the helicopter, I don't know, but it does look cool.
yeah.
Uh, You'll have to make on your Discord a little suggestions channel so I can dump a bunch of cool things.
Man, I wish we had some viewers.
No, maybe it's because it's Wednesday. I don't know.
Must be Wednesday. Never
Yeah,
did get
that's
to
what
hang
it
out
is.
Wednesdays, to quote Hitchhiker's Guide from the Galaxy. But he said Thursdays, the remake. Yay.
I've never seen vehicles be able to actually drift in Arma like how you've gotten yours to. I've never seen that. Anytime I try and get a car to drift in this game, it usually doesn't do anything or it flips.
Oh, um, I think you can't really do that with
I've
the.
tried so hard with like the sports cars that are default,
Yeah, I don't know if you
and
can do
most of
it
the time it
very
just
well.
flips and rolls. Just want to be an action star and drift my car in somewhere.
I had to kind of work on it to do that in the first place, and theirs may not be. Whoa, theirs may not be really um, optimized for doing that kind of thing.
I think the Jeep Wranglers that came with I say Jeep, no, that not a Jeep that came with Tanoa.
Yeah.
Um, it can drift pretty well. It's the only one. I think it's pretty goofy. It's so strange that they modeled that Jeep almost perfectly off of a real model Jeep.
Yeah.
Um, just missing the trademarks.
Yeah. It's more accurate to what it should have been than anything else. But let's
Right.
while we're thinking of that, let me load some of those in here.
I just
'Cause
noticed as well when you flipped over the vehicle there, you got the whole underside
mhm.
modeled as well. You've got a drivetrain and everything.
Yep. It's not
Pretty.
very I mean it's the textures are pretty basic under there, but I would probably want to add some dirt chunks and stuff like that. But how many times have I rolled my vehicle in this game? A lot. So
Yeah.
people will see the underside.
People see it. They roll a lot. It's Arma. Things happen. You'll be driving down a road and then there's a rock there and you hit it and the vehicle explodes and flips in typical Arma fashion.
Or you're just walking by a car and you sneeze and somehow your track IR sends it off into space and as it's going up you're gonna be like, oh look at the underside. Hey look, there's a bird of yours by name.
Well, I think if you look at your videos, the ones you put out, like let's see, the Fang video got 522,
Mhm.
but it's for some reason it's this like the stream upload of the Diamondback. I got 122, but after that, the highest one was 52. So strange. And your Hiss Tank one got 800. The Awe Striker pretty much got 1,000.
Yeah, I was so that was put out on October 9th. I was hoping to reach 1K by after a year. So, but that's not going to happen because it's been at 989 for about a week and a half. And before that, it was I did get I did get up to get up to get up to 989. It was at like 974, so it did get 15 views all at
Hmm.
once. But 11 more. That's all it needs. But that's just my own personal like the little OCD part of me that wants that. So, but these are also produced videos, so um, there's some entertainment value, and I especially put entertainment value into the Fang with the
Yeah.
comedy at the end. Um, but these are infomercials, sort of, and these are all just like shooting the breeze with people. Um, this one's also older than these are, and it seems like I'll this one was at like 35, and I said, hey, if you guys haven't checked out the Rattler or the Diamondback, check out this. And so then it started increasing again and increased almost by 100. So, um, it does have its little spurts here and there. This one is locked, so or not locked, but it's not listed. So you have to have the link to see it still. Or maybe it is, yeah, unlisted. There we go. So on this page, you probably don't see this, you know, submerge. Cessna 185 amphibian. Okay, while that's loading, let's look that up. Ah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. So let me show you this other one that I've been working on. And I guess I'm just gonna have to go to a random one and then ah, stupid mouse wheel. What was it called? Oh yeah, nose wing. And it didn't really. It started to look too much like the fire bat. Let me see. Oh, here's an older one here. Let's see if I can import that instead. What? What's going on? This is okay. I didn't get all of it. So anyway, but that's what the hull. That's more like what the toy looked like. So thought I had a version with the. Oh yeah, yeah. There we go. should just open that file. Ah, she's still playing, baby. Yeah. Sorry, that's my daughter. If you guys can hear, she's talking to me.
Guest appearance.
Yep. All right. Ah.
Gigs per vehicle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The front spoiler is the one that it looks like a. What the heck? Seriously? Oh, it's the whole thing. Yeah, it looks like a mustache. It looks like an old-timey mustache. Meh. That I was talking about earlier, where actually, let's close that down for now. I don't need that open. Don't need you open. And ejector seats. Right here. Ejection system. So it'll hide the ejection seat as a part of the vehicle. Okay. No. Maybe it's in. This has to do with folding the wings. If you're starting to go too fast, it'll unfold them. Carrier ups. So this is really exciting, huh? Alright, let's leave that open because it's either there or in user actions.
Well, you said we were going to get educated.
It's MFT. Where did I see? Did I skip user actions? Maybe it doesn't have user actions. I don't think a helicopter pilot has. I don't think it has an ejection system. Release controls. Well, but see, then you would need a either an AI or a secondary person to be there. Oh, there's user actions at the top. How did I miss that? I think I see what you're talking about. Um, yeah, I see how you're thinking about it, and that that's a that's a great way to think outside, but the Arma, um, the way that Arma is set up, it doesn't work like that. Um, it would, I think that would just complicate things to do it that way. talking about giving the controls. So you're talking about like having one set of controls for one vehicle for one mode and having another set of controls for another mode and just putting the single driver in a different seat. Um, but both the pilot and the co-pilot would fly whatever vehicle is set up in the parameters. They would fly it the same way. They would just have different visual positions. Hold on. I might I might have to go take some disciplinary action here.
I'll stand by as entertainment.
In the meantime, let me close this down and or yeah,
I'll be able to should be able to answer most questions. In the meantime,
there we go. And intercept any extra viewers coming in.
yeah. Sometimes Arma can be very fun to work with, and other times it can't be. It's so restrictive, but also not restrictive. If that makes sense. A lot of this stuff is also work in progress. Of course. Much frustration with it sometimes. I love when you're driving a vehicle and you lightly touch a rock and you get catapulted into the atmosphere. It's an interesting feature.
All right, I'm back. Whew.
Back.
My Surprisingly enough, my track IR was picking up my movement before I put my hat back on because the sun is coming in right at that angle where it reflects off my skin because I'm so pale. It thinks it's reflective. Um, so what did I miss? Yes, I did. All of the well, by all of this, everything on the curb or the side of the road. I didn't do the environment, obviously, or the other vanilla vehicles. But I'm doing the textures and the models. So some of it is missing some work. Kira Shinji, are you familiar with G.I. Joe and Cobra?
Very important.
What's your project? Oh, that's cool. Sort of.
Just plow your way through it.
Um, yeah, That was my intention all along. I'm not a horrible pilot at all. So, um, that kind of doesn't, that tells me some things, but it doesn't tell me a whole lot. It tells me that you're 1 year older than the G.I. Joe action figure from the 80s, which is. Oh, okay, good. Well, I had to make sure because, they were starting to die off in popularity by the time you were old enough to play with them. All right, so what's happening and why I was plowing into that is because what I did was I changed my controls.
Galleon. So like a ship, I assume.
Well, come on. So you need more than 50% thrust to keep it airborne. This vehicle, anyway. Um, but you need zero thrust to not plow into anything. So I set it to analog, which means that wherever my stick is positioned is um, the thrust level, but it has a spring, right? So if it's in neutral position, that's 50% power. All the way down is 0%, and all the way up is 100%. So why did I do that? Is because I wanted some of my VTOLs, especially like the Skyhawk, to try to fly more like a helicopter. Boom. Yep, there it goes. One of those puppets. Huh. So I'm glad I was able to help you rekindle some of the magic. I've lost.
Reignite some old memory.
I cannot get it to
Hmm.
fly anymore. I damaged it too hard. But going back to what I was saying, I had the thrust set, the thrust controls set so that it would auto hover. Oh, I need to treat myself, or else he'll be complaining. These are some of the most complaining people. Uh, do you ever notice that? Like, there's just too many, too much. I did have a. What was my? There we go. There's just too much motion and complaining for a game, for
I
a
agree.
military-based game.
You know what I'm gonna say? There's a mod for that. So there's a mod for that. Bohemia makes mistakes and modders fix them.
Yeah. So the Skyhawk kind of takes off, and right now I'm at 100% thrust. When I dip down a little bit, it starts slowing its roll It's at 81. Still taking off a little bit. It's about steady there. As I pull back on the throttle just to 74, it's starting to drop a little. There's a So it's gradual, but then there's like a sweet spot where it's like the it'll fall too fast to be able to recover from. And this is supposed to be a vehicle that you want to fly while you're in like a tight spot or something like that, you know? So I before they did all this work on the jets, on the VTOLs in this game, um, I got it to where it could fly very well and it handled very nicely through very tight areas. I don't I don't know if you can link an image into Restream. You can whatever whatever Twitch allows you to do, as long as it's not graphic or offensive or anything like that, that's fine. But I don't know what will show up. Try it. Let's see what happens. Because what you're seeing on the left is Restream, and it's just kind of blending all of the multicasts together.
I don't know if Twitch has embedded links or not. They actually work. Don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Also, I do agree the VTOLs were great before they did their work on the jets.
They were they were not perfect, but they were um, a little bit more favorable for my vehicles.
Yeah,
Now, saying that, they probably weren't ideal for their vehicles.
they're a bit more arcadey, I suppose.
Yeah, it just posts a link.
I'll have to. I guess we'll see when I if I get my hands on the vehicles, see how they fly. I'm interested.
Where is that Camp Maxwell? Wait, I'm not on Stratus. I'm looking for Camp Maxwell, and I'm like on the wrong map. The reason why I like Camp Maxwell is because I've tested flying through its trees and landing on its buildings. And flying through trees through very dense areas is kind of one of the main purposes of this vehicle right here.
Similar to like a little bird in that respect.
Yeah, except you're not going to lose you have more clearance because you have more clearance because
Theory.
you have less spatial
Yeah.
uh
There's no rotor to worry about getting
ex
clipped
ex
on a tree.
exactly. And you think this is good. Should fly the trouble bubble, which I will be probably making bigger. I wanted it to be about the size of a golf cart. But all right, so
Vehicle idea in general is just so goofy.
yeah, for me, I see it as a patrol craft. You know, not a battle,
Right.
but it has some. Don't crash, don't crash.
Kira, if you're having some buffering every now and again on the stream, the YouTube stream is steady. There's no buffering on this end. It might be a Twitch thing.
Trying to find some good.
Going back to the trouble bubble, I know last time you were showing it off, I had mentioned putting a laser designator on it might not be a bad idea if it's a patrol craft. Then in theory, it could still fill that same role as a little bird where it can relay information back to people.
Yeah, I could be a patrol craft slash recon.
Yeah,
A spotter
yeah, I'll get
craft.
you the link.
Well, I'm trying to find some foliage that I could fly through that is. This is way more dense than Stratus.
You gotta go pretty deep to find some jungle. Just copy and paste that link, and then I'll get to it. Definitely looks good flying around, that's for sure.
Crash, crash, crash. I hit that sweet spot.
That's
Oh,
the
the.
one thing I don't like about VTOLs. I don't know how well you can adjust that, but it's
Uh,
like you hit a point and it's a rock.
yeah. Um, you can adjust it actually. The Diamondback isn't as. Um, it's more forgiving. It has a little bit more float to it. So there are some forces that allow it to. Well, there we go. There are some forces that allow it to stay up in the air, and it also kind of makes it um, take off slower, so it doesn't just shoot straight up. But look, now I've got. All right, scratch that. I may have overdid it on the demonstration, but I really did. I went to zero throttle and then um, waited a long time before I tried to give it throttle. And by a long time, I mean like 1.5 seconds. Whereas in the Skyhawk, it would be like a quarter of a second at 50% power. All right. That's falling, and I recovered.
Seems like it's got a pretty good flight model on it.
It actually does have a pretty decent one. It can descend at a much better rate, and it has some. It seems like it has a little bit more forgiveness. Um, when flying the Skyhawk, you're like, oh, okay, I'm descending, and then suddenly you just hit a spot where it's just hard to recover from if you if you dip down too low and the thrust. Let's see, look, I dip down in the 40s, and it just starts to lower, but it doesn't like do it devastatingly fast. I went all the way down to the teens. 0, and I'm gonna crash now. Oh, look at that. I barely saved it.
It's a beautiful recovery. So how much armament is working on the Diamondback right now?
um, just the only thing that's accurate is the front gun,
Most important.
the Gal 8. It has. Oh, I guess I didn't reconfigure those controls. It has missiles, but none of the ones that are actually on the wings or the hull. Uh-oh.
Whoops.
These are just missiles that are in the original Wipeout code. I damaged my vehicle enough to where it won't take off now. Well, maybe it will. Don't hit a trench. Don't hit a trench. There it is. Huh. Ah, just gonna have to try to take off. Oh, and I hit a trench. I was thinking it could still probably take off as a standard mode, but I hit a trench. But yeah, my manual controls of the wings tilting, the engine tilts, that was gone. Here, wait. Let's get out. Kiroshin is on. Are you on two channels now? Are you on the YouTube and the Twitch?
I think it'd take off pretty quick.
Yeah. This thing, I've got it way too sensitive to the controls, so it's very, like I might do this, and I only wanted to go up a little bit, but now I'm like so far up. Still got that rocking. That might actually be, I don't know, that might be accurate. Because it's such,
Bouncing between the control surfaces.
yeah. Uh, it does a lot of that. Try to, it likes to try to turn and then go down into, especially into water.
Vapor trails look good on it though.
Thanks. Ah, took my eyes off. See, I don't know if I'm probably not a great pilot, but I don't know if I'm a good pilot or not because I'm always testing on my own vehicles. And I know that they're not.
I'll have to give them a try sometime.
Show enough. Let's see.
I Not to toot my own horn, but I can fly the default vehicles very well.
Oh, good. No horn tooting taken.
Not great, but good.
I did have, so as you see, I'm in this Fang as a gunner. I did have the, I must have tried something else because I did have the turret hooked up to the gunner position. It still fires. But then again, I can do that from the driver position. I say that. Nope, I guess I cannot. What is, I had manual fire. What was that? Yeah, it was apostrophe.
The rotor blade missiles.
Fun, fun. I keep getting Twitch messages. See, if I knew how to configure weapons and missiles, that would be like half of my battle. It'd be like knowing, and knowing is half the battle.
I was about to make that joke, but you beat me to it.
I did kind of dumb down the Fang is super like responsive and very for me very easy to control, very intuitive. But there's there isn't a whole lot of natural fighting. So like with a normal vehicle in this game, you kind of have to. It's a little bit sluggish, and so you kind of have to anticipate your motions and everything like that. But there's a lot of that cut out just by how responsive it is. So it's still you can still get yourself into trouble if you're not careful, but um, it's really nimble and really agile and very capable. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I just lost some. I keep going like this. I think it might be one of my new um, settings. Is it? Yep, yep, yep. So I went to I went to turn and the recovery was not happening. It was it was turning too much to one side and I didn't have enough time to recover from that, which before I did. So I'm kind of already used to flying it the way it was set up before. But that's why I'm running that test. All right, let's try the I'm going to show the flight pod again.
That's what time? It's 6:30.
Okay. What time did we start this? two
Uh,
2:30. So we've been at it for about 2 hours. Wow.
I gotta start dinner here for you.
So let's just do this last one and then we'll kind of wrap it up after that. Or we could save it for another time and wrap it up now.
I'll let you make that executive decision. You're in charge.
There's those were the lights of the Fang floating above it because I haven't moved them into place. Need to put some with a lot of these vehicles. I need to put memory points so
The
that
guns.
yeah, guns and their cloud.
It just looks so goofy. And there's no amount of anything that can save it from not looking goofy. It's just how it is.
the the thing is, I seriously changed the way it looks a lot. The the original toy doesn't look. I mean it.
The toy looks nowhere near as good as this because this it looks like it's still goofy looking, but it's like not so goofy that it's just like a bouncy ball
Right.
that flies.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It looks like it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because it's so small. I don't know.
Yeah. I need to make the like now that I see with different eyes, I guess. I'm looking at the headroom for the driver, the pilot, and well, come back. And it just doesn't look like there's enough headroom. Not a comfortable amount. And that's part of the problem with the view here. Like, here it is before zoomed out. Let's see. This is all the way zoomed out, all the way zoomed in. Um, so I feel like if he was sitting a little more forward in the craft, that I would be able to see up, but ah, there's the sun. The sun is coming into my room. The sun, not the sun in the game, the actual sun is coming through
The
my
real
window.
sun.
Yeah, it's
Cobra
interfering.
Commander's Weather Dominator.
It's interfering with my track IR.
This evil plot to make summers far too hot.
So you see, like now I'm flying up a hill. I'm a little bit having to dip down forward just to keep a forward momentum, such as the natural tendency for a helicopter. But this this vehicle and the Skyhawk demonstrate the difference between a VTOL and a helicopter, and neither one of them, both of them should function similarly, but with different speeds and responsiveness. So, but neither one of them can be very accurate to the feel that I liked when it was when before VTOL was tweaked with the jets. I wish they would put because there's different modes of VTOL, different settings you can put to um, depending on like how what kind of a VTOL it is. Like if you have one that can only take off standard. Okay, I'm not answering that. If you have one that can only take off standard, but it can land vertically, then there's a mode for that. If you have one that can do all of that, there's a mode for that. But they don't have a mode that's dedicated to just VTOL. They all are contingent on whether there are wheels, landing gear that are wheels on the aircraft. So if you have landing skids and it takes off like a helicopter, but once it's in the air it flies like a jet, that doesn't there isn't an allowance for that in the VTOL parameters.
Very restrictive.
Yeah, it's strange. I guess they figured, hey, why put that in? That's just a helicopter. But then again, the helicopter, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I can make it where um, it doesn't lean forward as much visually, but I think really to do this right, you need a so your main thrust needs to be vertical, up and down, right? And then in order to um, go forward instead of leaning, you need to like give it a trigger button like a car, you know? So you're up and down,
Sure.
and then you also have your pitch, which points your nose up and down because you want that while you're flying like an aircraft, like an airplane. Um, but you want your altitude to be dependent on your thrust. And then you want see now, but then you want to go forward. So you can give it a little bit of transference to a either a stationary engine that's faced back or hey, look, we have a lot of viewers. Cool. We have five.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got a couple more in.
it's went back down to three. I thought it said five. Maybe I
It
was.
did. I don't know if Restream is weird or everyone got shy when there existed. Maybe.
Like, oh, there's not enough people in here to hide me in the crowd. So can you guess what we're gonna do next?
I'm a
Just
bit concerned.
since we're here.
I haven't seen this. I definitely am interested.
All right. Oh, I got turned around. So these are those weird, um,
Oh,
those cars. I don't know what you would call these things. They're like crop pickers,
sure what these are.
and the wheels on two of them were working. Yeah, 'cause see, look, there's sugarcane. All right, get in driver as train. Use your use your mouse wheel to scroll to go in and out. Now, like this is the default vehicle that came with the game. I don't know if it was supposed to be a vehicle, and I don't know how they would even have changed it. But anyway, zero cars. I when I get close to one, start pushing it. See, every time I push it,
Oh,
it stacks another car on until I get to the end.
so crazy.
And look
I
at
don't know
those.
who would think of this.
The wheels are turning on the engine, and they're turning slightly. They're not. The wheels aren't matching the speed of the actual. But look at it go. I'm actually going
Arma
backwards.
needed this, but
Oh, hello, other train that I did not know was there. Now I've got that one attached. So I've got people calling me from Dallas.
I don't know why this. I don't train mod goofy to me. I guess here it is.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it is kind of maybe it was always meant to be like this, but they just decided not to develop it further.
Cut
And
content.
yeah, but it's it's really however they did this was really good because I can even decide like if it's a break in the track, I can even decide which way to go. So like there's a break coming up, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go left. And all I'm doing is steering left to do that. Scroll the mouse wheel out to. Now I don't like that. I don't like that you have to scroll because then it looks kind of jerky while you're scrolling out. But I do like that you can zoom out.
Wonder if soldiers could stand on it without it glitching out and making them phase through it or die. Could
Yeah.
drive it through a town and shoot people off a train.
Yeah, see, and this is kind of a very um, side thing for me, but G.I. Joe did have a train. Um,
Wonder if you could model it, use sort of the same framework, just for fun.
yeah, you can. You can, like, I would just have to do whatever he did because um, I actually have, when I was testing this, I made one called Train Test, and that's all it is. So none of this is mine. But see, he has his own car engines and cars. He's got this Union Pacific. He's got that thing, and it's not on the track. But if you're not on the track, it will explode or die. But yeah, when you're loading it on, yes, that's ATS. You're right. So we're just having a look at it because I'm considering using ATS for. I might have a GI Joe train. All right, so there's a vehicle. We're gonna go back. Uh, they did have it. No, Yojo Pro. Um, I'm looking for the Yojo vehicle that was here. I mean, sorry, the GI Joe. There was a train that was never produced, and then there was a train that was produced. What? I don't want. Here we go. There's this one, and then there's this one. This is the one that was never produced, but it's cool. It has a little thing that unloads, and it has a giant cannon, and has a cool engine. So, maybe and this would be like a very secondary or tertiary consideration, but it's an idea, and the fact that trains are doable in the game. But this is the oh, this is just the flatbed car, but there was an electric train set too. Where was it? Guessing it's in here. There is a dev build from ATS that has some more functions. I didn't know that. Do you have to be in dev mode?
Okay. I don't know if you're gonna continue streaming, but the sun's going down and I gotta go get a run in before the sun goes down.
Okay, sure.
So,
Um,
um,
sorry we just got off.
that's okay.
I, I almost said
Got off on a train.
we got off track. But now
Uh,
you know, like you've seen a preview of it, and you can try it. That's one more mod. Ha! I found a mod that Mr. Pockets didn't know about.
it's true. The one and only.
that's a that's an accomplishment. I'm gonna write this down on my calendar. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up, and hopefully more, future things will be more exciting and less. When we get more into the hang of it, we'll be less distracted, maybe, or maybe it'll be more distracted but more entertaining. But yeah, we have four
You know,
viewers. What is this? 8,000? Oh, less than 8,000 hours. Oh, okay. Kuroshinji's seen a lot of the mods too. All right, so yeah, there's there's reason to have trains, and then there's reason to leave them behind, and so it's just a secondary consideration. But right now, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.